Hi, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you joined us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kelley Pitts, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Lubbock, Texas, and I am so thrilled to have you watching, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. I do have a supply list below under where it says more, and on the YouTube, it will have a supply list. And it also has a Google form if you want to get a PDF of the measurements and everything. Tells you a couple of ways to do that. And then on that's on both Facebook and YouTube. And then YouTube actually has the list of supplies. So happy to help you anyway. If you need any of the products that we're featuring today from the Traditions of Christmas Suite, I'm happy to help you with those. And I am thrilled to have a team member here today, Jan Spencer, who keeps me organized and on the ball here. We are on video number 6 for today. So I only have one left. She may run out of here before we get to that one. But thanks a lot for tuning in. We're going to do this card. I recently did a class with 6 of these designs, the cards 1 through 6, and I had never done this fold. So I thought, why not do it for a class the very first time? So here, whoops, I messed it up. Here we go. Look, how beautiful is that? Pop up. It's a inside out corner pop up, pop in, whatever you want to call it, fold. But it was a lot of fun. It just took me a little bit to figure it out. We did have a template in our template box that our team members made, but I kind of did this a little bit different way. So hopefully it's easy for y'all to understand kind of what I did. I'm going to show you step by step how I did the cutting and scoring for this one. And I am going to show you an alternative. This one, let me show you up close. See, this one has, it's hard to see. This one is embossed on the inside, and we're going to show you a little bit different ribbon, and there you can kind of see the shine of the embossing, the gold embossing there. And we're going to do something different there. Otherwise, here we are about to get started with a lot of joy. I'm not sure we do have joy. Yay. Okay. We're going to start with the card base, and I'm going to switch over the camera so y'all can see what I'm doing here. We have a 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. And we are going to take a ruler and mark it at 1 3/4. Whoops, hang on. Let's find everything I need here. There's my ruler. I covered it up with my sheet of paper. Isn't that something? Do y'all ever lose anything while it's basically in your hand or just left your hand? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. What I did for this card was, and you could do it on the trimmer. Jan gave me a good tip that she was trying to measure it on the trimmer, and I had just used a ruler. So we were doing it 2 different ways, but we got the same result. So I wanted to show you both ways. If you use a ruler, you just go to the 1 3/4 mark and mark that on the right end, and then take it over here on the left end, and you'll go to the end and mark it at 1 3/4. Okay. If you're on the trimmer, if you're trying to mark it on the trimmer, you go to 1 3/4 like that, mark it, and then over here you're going to go to 6 3/4. Hang on, let me get this arm out. So you'd go over to 6 3/4, and that is where that same mark is. So I don't know if the light's bright enough for you to see exactly that, but you could do it either way. So 1 3/4 in on both sides with a ruler, or if you use a trimmer, you'd go 1 3/4 and then 6 3/4. All right, that's that. And then we mark it on this side of the card. We're going to go in. Let's see. We have these on opposite sides, right? 1 3/4. Yep. We're going to go in 3 1/4, which would be right here. And you would mark it right in your track. You could just take a little pencil lead and mark it across that score line. That's very helpful to do that. You could use that your ruler or your trimmer, either one, to go ahead in there and mark that. Now, if I knew how to make this phone zoom in, I would be very happy, as just like you would. But I don't know how to do it, and I haven't figured that out. So this is as close as I can get. We're going to go, and it's hard to see on the red cardstock for sure. But what we're doing is we're going to park the dark, as some people say. I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to line up that 1 3/4 inch track, or 1 3/4 inch mark in the top of the track. And then where this crosses right here, I can see the score line and the mark that I made at 3 1/4 from the left, 3 1/4 from the left. So that mark and this mark are lined up in the track. And then I'm going to just go back and forth 2 or 3 times, and it's hard to see exactly where to stop. So you just kind of have to get it close and then go from there. If you go over a little bit, nobody's going to know. All right, then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go from this mark to this mark. I'm going to line it up in the track so I can see the other score line that's intersecting the 4 1/4 score line. And I can see this little mark in the track, that little mark in the track. So I should be good to go. I'm going to leave the dark one out. I'm going to come up. I'm going to score till I think it's right there, kind of lined up. The second one is a little easier. You can kind of line up that mark on the score blade with this score line. It's hard to see from your angle, I'm sure. All right, but we can see from here. Can you tell right there? That's where everything's lined up. So that's all we need that for. Then I'm going to set this aside, and I'll show you how I did the piece for the inside. Is just starts off at 5 1/4 by 4. All right, 5 1/4 by 4. And then you're going to take and measure, same thing, measure in your trimmer. Just measure over 2 1/4 and up 1 5/8. 2 1/4 from the top right, 1 5/8 from the bottom left, just like this template. And I'll put these templates up and let you take a screenshot if you want. But I've already got mine cut. So you'll just line them up the same way. This mark to that mark in your trimmer and cut. And then you'll cut that little corner off like I did right there. Okay. So I'm going to put this away. And then I'm going to put these in your view right here where you can, let's see if that way's better. Yeah. If you can see that. I'll leave it there a second for you to take a screenshot if you want to try to make this card on your own. This is where you score it and cut it. This one you cut, you mark it, and cut it. This one you mark it, and score it. All right, this one's already kind of scored. So there you go. Hopefully that will help you when you're trying to recreate this awesome card. Now, I'll show you this corner. As you can see here, this corner is going to come in. So that means this middle piece is a mountain. So we're not going to go all the way across and do all the bone folding. Well, we can with this piece. We can do that. We'll do it. Maybe that'll make it easier for you. We'll see. I didn't do it on my first one. We'll see if it makes it easier. Make sure all that's really lined up, because it's even more critical on this card because of the other scores in there. Okay, now, so that part we're going to fold. This is going to be the mountain part. And then you can see just by pushing it, you're going to push, whoops, these side, this is mountain, that should be valley. I should be pushing it this way. And we're not going to fold it all the way across. You don't want to crease it all the way across because you only need these creases right here where they are, just in that little score area. Can you see how that's trying to bend exactly where it's supposed to bend? Which is an awesome thing. It's working with you, not against you. So now, see how crooked that is? You don't want to use your bone folder when it's that crooked. You want to get that even. Hold it on both sides. You want the ends and the right and left all to be correct. And you've got to hold that tight. See how I've got a buckle right here? I don't know if y'all can quite see that buckle, but we're going to fix that little red wagon right there with the bone folder. Okay, now we're going to flip it over, do the same thing. Then I'm going to go in here. I don't know if you can see inside there. Crease that. Do that one more time. And looky here. Whoop! You almost have a card made already. How about that? Isn't that awesome? Now all we have to do is erase our little tick marks that I don't think anybody would notice, but we might as well erase them, right? So we know for sure. Okay. And now we're going to, we've already erased our tick marks on this one. Good. Okay, we are going to stamp on this one. We're going to use Secret C and just see what y'all think. We're going to do the inside. I've got a little rough edge right there. I'm going to use a bone folder on that. I probably should have used a little sander, but this will work for today. Okay, we have a Merry Christmas stamp that is, the actual stamp set is called A Merry Christmas. How about that? But it is a beautiful font. It is a huge stamp. It's only one stamp in this set. And we're going to use Secret C on it. And I have it mounted on the largest block that we have. And I'm not sure if we even sell this one. If we don't still sell this one and you don't have it, then I would recommend a stamp positioning tool similar to our Stamp-A-Majig that we used to have, Stamparatus that we used to have. We don't sell that anymore, but you can get other stamp positioning tools.
You're not quite in the camera.
Oh, thank you. All right. And when your stamp is this large, you're going to need to take your stamp pad to the stamp rather than vice versa. You normally take your stamp to your pad, but we are making sure we get it coated really well. Our basic white paper always just stamps beautifully. If you stamp on a colored cardstock, you really need to make sure you get everything inked really well and you hold it on there and let it soak in. It's just not quite as soft or receptive or something. Polished. Yes, Jan, thank you. Okay, we're going to set this right there and hope that that extra blue there in the middle of that C is not going to show. We're going to leave it. I'm using even pressure all around. And if we have to cut another blue, we will. But hopefully this will be good. Let it sit there a minute. Yeah, y'all like to hear me whistle, right? Here we go. The big reveal. Woohoo! How beautiful is that? That font is just gorgeous. Look at that. That just fills up the inside of your card and you don't even have to write very much, right? Okay, we've got that done. Now on the front, we're going to stamp our little label of joy while we're stamping, and then I'll come back and glue that in the card. Might as well stamp all at once here. This is the joy is from the Jolly Holly bundle, and I'll be doing some videos of some cards I did previously at a class with this bundle, and I just never got around to doing the videos, but now I'm all excited about doing videos because Jan is such a good helper. All right, we've got this little label. This is from the Traditional Labels die set that is in the Traditions of Christmas suite, and it just barely fits. You kind of have to line it where your dot of your I and your tails of your J and your Y are just not quite hanging off, and it's kind of a jaunty angle. You don't have to worry about it being straight. It's all kind of whimsical, so that is helpful. Just a sec, I gotta have a little sip. Okay, now we're gonna pop this joy up onto our blue label, and this is Pool Party, by the way, if I did not mention that earlier. It is Pool Party. And I just had a brand new sheet of dimensionals, and now I've already...
You need more?
No, I'll just open this new one. I just started a new one. Oh, there they are, right there. Okay, we're going to pop that up onto the blue label. And then before we put the blue label on, those of you who are watching and paying attention and trying to get extra points here, what do you have to do first before I can put the blue label on? Anybody? I'm not seeing any comments here. Would love to hear from you if y'all are there. But you have to worry about layering. So on this, if I'm going to get this ribbon wrapped around this card where it shows inside and out, then you have to do that before you put your label down. But this one we can go ahead and put so that we're ready. When we get our ribbon on, we're going to be all set. There's our joy. Okay, now we have our ribbon. This one was on the last chance list when I did the class, the open weave gold, and I'm not sure if it's still available. So we're going to try a different ribbon on this card that has been available. I haven't checked today, but it is still on the current list. And I usually just tie it off the roll so that I don't waste a bunch, but it's up to y'all. If y'all want to cut it first, estimate it and cut it first, you could. I go right over. Oh, I'm not tying a knot. So I was about to give you my trick for tying a good square knot, but we're tying a bow instead. Let's move this out of the way. Get it where y'all can see. And you can move this bow over. It can be anywhere. We're going to slide it over. And if you have the reverse tweezers that come in the embossing set, that would be awesome to use here if you don't have somebody else putting their finger on here for you.
Do you need tweezers?
Well, if the reverse ones are up there, I'll take them. If not, I will make this work.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. If I fail this time, whoop, which I did miserably. I don't know why it's harder to tie a bow when you're on camera. It's kind of like you're trying to show everybody how you're doing it, and then your mind goes blank on how you actually do it. So this is our gold mesh ribbon that is beautiful. We had one previously that was just kind of a iridescent ribbon that was very similar to this, that didn't have the gold. But I'm so glad for Christmas that they came out with this one with the gold. It's really gorgeous, as is that open weave. I think they're both beautiful. So you could certainly use what you have for the gold ribbon, but if you don't have any, this is a good choice. It's beautiful. Okay, that's kind of big, but all right. And for some reason, I do a better job if I tie them upside down. So I don't know if any of you are that way, but, and I cut those at an angle. But here's what I meant about, you can tie the bow anywhere because we can move it. You just bend the cardstock a little bit and move that sucker over. Easy peasy. Isn't that pretty? Now we're going to pop this up over it. Let's see how we want that to go. Do we want it to overlap? Still think that could be a tiny bit smaller, but I don't want to totally loosen it up. So we're going to be happy with it. I'm pushing down on the knot while I try to straighten these up. And fix that a little bit. I don't know why that's being so wonky. All right, now we're just going to since this ribbon's pretty flat, sometimes if you have a really thick ribbon or a cord, you want to put your dimensionals on either side of that. But in this case, it's so thin, I don't think it matters at all. So we're going to check out wherever our dimensionals are that I've lost again, the very same pack. There they are. We'll just, I think I'm going to put that in the corners anyway. We'll just pop that whole thing up. And then I'll show you how we're going to do the swag. That is part of the Christmas greenery set. And it cuts directly out of the DSP, this swag right here. But the stamp set actually will, the stamps will actually cut the die. I'm going to move that up just a tad. Well, the die will actually cut the stamped, stamped images also, as well as the DSP. So that means that if you've got a different color scheme at your house, if you're maybe not a red and green gal, which my house is more of a kind of turquoise and kind of a lime green, and it's more blues and blueberry bushel. Yeah, like a blueberry bushel and coastal cabana or pool party and a lime kind of color. So you can change it up. If you stamp it, and you can make the flowers any color you want. But in this case, we've got the pink and red poinsettias, which are gorgeous. And they will be cut out with, thank you, Jan. Oh, it's so wonderful to have a team member who remembers things that she learned at class and shares them with, yeah, she learned it the hard way. She said, this is still not quite lined up like I want it. So I'm going to refold that again, rescore that. Okay. Now, when you're putting this swag on, or that's what I call it, I don't know what y'all call it, floral swag, you need to make sure that it fits within your envelope. So the easiest way to do that is put an envelope behind it. How clever is that? So you can see that this would stick up. So you can't have it sticking up that far. So let's try it this way, where those leaves are going down. Now you can see it does not exceed the perimeter of the envelope. So that's the way we're going to put it. And we can pop it up or we can glue it flat. I'm going to pop it up. And I don't know exactly where all this is, so I'm going to put these in the middle right here and see how that works for me. And then if I need to stick some more under there, I can. And this dimensional is not cooperating. I don't know what that was about. The backing was refusing to release. Yeah, now it's sticking to me. So if you want to try to guess where to put them on the back of this, you can, but I think it's easier to do it like I did and put them on the card front. Okay, we're going to move this where it's not bigger than the envelope. And it still gets across that corner pop-up fold. Yay! How magnificent is that? Love it. Love it, love it, love it. How that corner is missing and this fills it in. It's just beautiful. Okay, we're going to come back and add some sequins in a minute after we can go ahead and do it now if we want. We've got them right here. And we have used a lot more of the gold than anything else. And I think this green is a little bright to be on here because of the blue. So I think you could get by with using blue, or you could use red. So we're just going to use red on red, tone on tone, because we got a lot going on here with the gold and pink and blue everywhere. So I'm going to put one of these in the center of the pink flower. And then we've got 3. We try to do 3 or odd numbers at least of embellishments to lead your eye where you want it to go. Now we're going to stick a little glue dot underneath the bow. You can tell I'm 6 videos is a lot for one day. All right. So there's that part. Now all we have to do is a little bit on the inside. We've already stamped the Merry Christmas. Yay, we're ahead. And you can use your liquid glue or your Stampin' Seal, either one, whatever floats your boat. And I just usually go around the edges and then squiggle a little bit in the middle. And I do that on my silicone mat so it doesn't get on my work surface. And I did not measure that very well, or something's off. I should have checked that earlier. I'm going to have to trim that.
You need to trim
Let's see the little, yeah, or another piece. I've got glue on this one already.
I'll get you another piece.
Let's see if we can make this work. If I scoot it all the way over. Nope, still gonna. Somehow I got off on my size here. I didn't measure it properly, I guess. 2. That's what I get for trying to do it on the air, huh?
You got the trimmer? Is the trimmer down?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. Sorry. Yep. So 4 by 5 1/4 initially. I don't know why. Maybe my squares are off. That may be it. But either way, you can fix it but you definitely should check it first before you put glue on it, which I should have learned that by now, but thank you. I will. That is the same size. I think maybe it's this that's off. I don't know. We're going to see.
What do you need?
I may let that. I don't know why this. Let's see what this is. Let's measure that. Oh, that's 2 inches. And this is 2 1/4. Yeah, so my score is off a bit. So we'll just make this. Let's see if we can just chop this a little bit deeper angle. We're going to go. Let's see. I'm just going to cut off about that much. Ooh, I hate to do this with glue. Don't like to do that on my trimmer, but we're going to do it. We're desperate. Okay, let me see if that worked. That works. Not exactly what I wanted, but it's close. So just measure this just in case your scores are off a little bit. I think I just must not have been at 3 1/4. Oh, this piece of paper is not 5 1/2. That's it.
What is it?
The cardstock is only 5 1/4. That's it. So if you start with the card base that's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, it should work. But you can see how much you can learn when you have opportunities like this to make things work. So we figured it out, didn't we? And this will have a similar border all the way around, except right at the score, and that is not going to matter at all. Yeah, that works just great. Okay, let's do the others. We're going to do a little sprig of, or we're thinking about it. Let's see what y'all think. If y'all want to make a comment, let me know. We were trying to tie in this. We wanted to show you a different look on the inside. Boy, you can hardly even tell. There, you can see the gold, the shiny gold versus the Secret Sea. But we thought it would be nice to tie in the Secret Sea a little bit more. There is some Secret Sea in the greenery that are on the bouquet, but I think this might kind of jazz that up just a little bit and bring in that Secret Sea color. But I'm going to cut it in half like I did on an earlier card. See if I like that better. We're going to glue that with a glue dot. We'll just put that on the front there. Make sure that's not too tall. Nope, that's going to work. Okay, then we're going to do this on that side. You just have to kind of watch where you're, how you're cutting this so it doesn't look awkward or weird, because it's not actually a top of a sprig. And I'm going to cut that bottom little sprig off on this side. It would be good to go. And I just think it's easier to just stick this glue dot onto this piece to stick it on the back of here of the bouquet. Now we're going to, even though this is on the inside, I really think it's worth it to just go ahead and pop this up. So we're going to make sure these are attached. Since I just had that one little glue dot on there, we want to make sure the die cut stays where it should be. So I'm going to use an excessive amount of Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm sure some of y'all are saying. But only 4. That's not bad. Jan is laughing at me over here. Okay. How pretty is that now? Okay, we'll do that. We'll get our other little piece, poinsettias, and we will be finished. We're gonna, you can do the red that's sticking up. Like I said, I just somehow I like it better with the red, the heavier red down if I can. And you want to make sure, practice it, make sure it, or audition it, make sure it folds properly with that there. You can glue that. I glued that flat because it's in that fold and we don't want it being bulky down here. I don't know. It might not affect anything, but it might. So I'm just going to glue the bottom of it. Where it does not stick out and hinder the card from closing or stick out on the side. Okay, we are done with yet another card. Yay. I'm so glad y'all have tuned in. I will switch the camera over and hold the card up once again. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. This is card number 6 out of the 7 that I designed with the Traditions of Christmas suite that Stampin' Up offered. And that's the featured suite that is on the very front of the mini catalog. And if y'all need a mini catalog, I'm happy to get you one. If you don't have a demonstrator already, or you're not a demonstrator already, if you need a catalog, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know. And if you want the PDF, like I said, there's a Google form link in the description below, as well as a list of supplies on the YouTube channel. The Facebook, you'll have to go to YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, you'll have to go to YouTube to get that supply list. Okay, thanks again for tuning in. Please share with your other crafty friends and tune in for one more video, and then we will see you soon. Thank you much. Fun times ahead. Bye-bye.